were joking about how Hayden should have an entry song, and it should be the John Cena song.
Yeah.
That song is actually goes so hard. The actual full song.
It does, but also not for Hayden Taylor.
That's fair.
I don't think it fit. I'm trying to think of what wrestler songs would fit. Bear Wyatt?
I don't know. I don't know enough about wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
To know.
Yeah, Bear Wyatt was fun. He had his whole fun little heel wrestler for a moment. Tragically passed away due to a heart attack. That happened back in like 2022.
So just so you know, it is recording.
Yeah.
But look at that. Look how little I had to do to be ready. We're ready. Haha. Getting this roll down.
We're so lovely. Hayden, is it cool if I eat it? Probably. Don't worry, I'll grab it.
I was told from Malcolm Graham to get that question. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my God.
Not that one. Loving the music. It's a nice vibe.
Absolutely disappointed in you.
Why?
We're not prepared for that question.
Didn't quite think
Any of
that.
you have a power brick of which I can plug into the wall with USB?
I do not. Wish I did.
Android, I mean, iPhone 3.
Well, no cube though. That's so sad. My thing doesn't work to plug my phone charger into, and I'm at like 40%.
And welcome back to Good See What's Open.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
No, it's not the rest of the week. For general school, using some technical jargon.
I'll make sure you get that.
Oh, and John's going to be here. Her asking you.
They need to start working together if they want to ace this project.
Let's see if they can do square up to their advantage. Choosing sisters make a point in a roundabout way.
And Miller is taking empathetic out her spin.
Testing. Yeah. This on?
Unfortunately. I mean that with kindness in my heart.
Like the music.
It's a good set.
I like it. Isn't it nice?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. Who replaced Hayden?
What?
I didn't even notice. That's crazy. This is nuts. This is like, I don't know, like a Twilight episode theme where there's just like changes about people.
So what's out of under now? And what's out of
Oh.
This is crazy. This is
Well,
You guys are good. I didn't even notice
I didn't notice anything.
I noticed that about my Bear right away.
Hat inspired by Smokey the Bear, eyeliner
Usually it's
JD
a high
Vance.
percentage.
I need to add you on Insta.
I'm
So sorry.
Last week I had about 5. Because I wanted.
What was Hayden born?
I was like, I need to get closer.
That you're not wearing a tie.
Oh, it is. You are so right.
Here.
It's because you bought the.
I noticed that.
Did you buy some clothes?
Tie and CSU tie clip.
They sell them in the bookstore.
They do.
Yeah,
I
it's totally
bought it.
awesome. One of the best things I bought.
The Cam Ram, and it's a like wine top.
Had my
I
whole
got
pre-mom life.
It's
down.
fun. Nice.
Birthday and you
Tuesday.
What's the Tuesday?
Every Tuesday.
We're growing. Okay.
Second day of every Tuesday. Congrats, Hayden. You're like a billion years old now.
I know.
This is crazy.
Isn't that cool?
I like how all of that is going into Battle Hamburger.
And it's like
I just
passes.
confused me.
Oh.
Now it says I said Battle
So
Hamburger.
well, I was hitting that just a little bit ago. And
To be fair,
It
every
depends on
time
the
I
side of
write a burr month, I put BERG. I accidentally write September every time.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is not
Okay.
Maybe I'll
Did it not-
wrap the light
Oh,
in
because I'm on
attention.
the other one. Hold on.
We could have used that 2.5 years ago. Now said it's easy, bro.
Did you, hold on, did you do it from, I was on my other one for my business.
Wait, let me see which one I am.
You know, I think your next birthday.
I don't know. I just followed myself.
I'm sorry.
Is this your business one?
Oh,
No, okay, we're good, we're good,
Okay.
follow back. Done.
Okay, period. Good.
Oh. Rory. I'm not saying. It's a crazy statement. Yeah, no. I read
What does
the
it mean to be close friends on here? What does that mean?
No, I
Which one?
Because I said follow back and then they gave me options. So I mean, I did, but I made you close friend. What does that mean? Does she come up higher on the feed or on the thing?
I don't know.
You have
Never
a
seen
thing
that.
that you can do to post stuff on.
Oh,
Like,
the close friends. Okay, so you have
Oh,
stories.
so when I have something spicy that not the whole world needs to hear,
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah,
Cool, all right.
basically.
No, I don't do
I can
any.
try to bully you. Would you like me to engage in bullfighting?
I would.
I like.
Um,
Is this a camera?
yes, it's the owl. It responds to motion.
Oh.
Yeah, so if I like move a whole bunch, it'll
Nick steps. We're talking about Nick steps.
Oh, I'm joining.
Away from the microphone probably would be wise.
It's just like a YouTube.
Yeah, it's New York coffee shop ambience.
I love jazz.
Oh, the 50 cents.
I have a jazz playlist. Jazz, bossa nova.
I just wanted something kind of nice while we figure things out in case we do have to like sit down with some technology. I was here early and I got it all figured out. No, we got it all set.
2 weeks straight, technology is gonna be.
No, I got it all set up.
That's fine.
So we're good. We're good. I just, calm, peaceful.
Yeah, no, the rain really adds to it.
It's been like wild. Oh, Discord server? Oh, I missed the Discord server.
So-
We should bring that back. Fun fact.
Y'all are being recorded.
I was a child that we were never like, so I actually had touched it. You just go to my phone and find it. I was nothing but Ariana was a parent, Lori was a parent, Adrian and I were the two children, and we would always eat shit. Was this the? Whoa! Wait, no, sometimes.
I still have that.
Yeah, I just don't trust it. I trust it as a president, as too much life. Yeah. Yeah.
I bet last week. It's okay. That's okay. You did real.
Why does no one take ASCSU serious? Okay, I need to rate it in. My bad.
Yes.
Oh my god, that is so funny.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
That one too. I mean, if somebody.
Oh, that'd be so. That's gonna be a caucus.
Indian jazz.
I know. I like it.
We have a new caucus idea.
Okay.
We're gonna go through the 50-second recordings and compile all the funniest clips, and then that's what the first post of the site marketing officer is going to be that video. I already ready that.
I will resign my position if that happens.
Dude, we're gonna get all the
We
funniest
don't need to
shit.
think about that. We don't need to think about 52nd. We don't need to think about the 51st, the 50th.
I don't know, but we should definitely absolutely got about the 48.
Okay, so the real question is, when you stand up, should I play the John Cena?
No,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
rare quiet. It works way better. I know, I should know. I was so into WWE. I still am into WWE for various reasons. 6:30.
Oh, that sounds like
We're good to go.
Yeah.
Oh, you can have artwork at the
Totally done.
You also want some videos in it?
Wait, actually, did it go somewhere? Did I move it? Is it in
The little
tab?
hammer sound like a fire alarm. Loacher.
What do you say is
Like, dude,
Add the labor acknowledgement.
you ready?
Yeah. I so badly.
Tell me this isn't a fire alarm.
6:30.
All right. You know what?
God damn it, no!
You try it.
No.
I have.
Oh, that was. Damn, it's up the
Madeline, not the right music. Does not fit the vibe.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, it's wonderful. Okay.
Is it time?
Yes.
I got two.
This backpack has that.
Excellent.
Okay, I like.
Hello and welcome to the fourth session, I think, with the 54th Senate. To begin, as you may have seen, we had some issues with the weekly email, and so some of the stuff was not sent out kind of as it should have been. It was just a kind of an honest mistake that we had happen. So we will begin with reading the agenda in full, and because that was not sent out in the email. You want to? You want me to? I can if you want to. Me? Okay.
Do you want to, here, let's do this. Go to Teams and, oh, you haven't done it. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Well, this is the agenda, beginning with the call to order, pledge of allegiance, the land acknowledgement, the swearing in new senators and associates, beginning roll call, consent agenda, gallery input, guest speaker, we have none today. Executive reports, judicial reports, legislative reports consisting of officers, committee abstracts, and senator and associate senators. And then moving into confidence business will be the election of the Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair, election of Accessibility Caucus Chair, and old business, which consists of the Resolution 5401, the ASCSU Senate bylaws, Lex 5401, creation of a Senate Public Relations Officer, Bill 5404, funding the ASCSU pocket pamphlet, and then new business consisting of Lex 5402, amending an inconsistency for timing of a presidential veto in the ASCSU Constitution, Lex 5404, amending a typo in the ASCSU Constitution, Lex 5404, amending a series of errors in the Constitution, Lex 5405, removing an outdated position from the ASCSU Constitution, Lex 5406, amending the timing of the vote of confidence, Lex 5407, amending the structure of LSAB, Lex 5408, Bylaw Transparency Act, Lex 5409, Internship Transparency Act, Resolution 5402, calling for an establishment of a school of law and policy within the CSU system, Lex 5410, Elections Lex 5411, making ASCSU elections more accessible for students, Lex 5412, amending the terms of office of ASCSU officials, Lex 5413, amending the method of appointing LSAB members, Lex 5414, LSAB Lex, and Lex 5415, ensuring representation for all. Then will be the committee reports consisting of internal affairs.
Information. I thought mine was not the.
So it was on the agenda that was sent out, so I'll be running full of it if you as an author want to pull it off the agenda.
Sick. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Budgetary affairs, university affairs, and DEI affairs. And then the caucus reports consisting of Women's and Social Justice Caucus, Accessibility Caucus, Housing Caucus, and Students of the Oval Caucus, then ending roll call and adjournment. That is the agenda that we have today. So now we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now moving into the land acknowledgement. I think it went well when we did the video last time, so we will continue with that this time.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This is often a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native nations.
We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
We'll now move into the swearing in of the senators and associates. So if that is you, you may come down now.
All right, raise your right hand. All right, repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To defend and uphold the rules and regulations.
to defend and uphold the rules and regulations
Set forth by the Constitution.
set forth by the Constitution
Of the Associated Students of Colorado State University.
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
And will rightfully perform the duties of my office.
and will rightly perform the duties of my office
To the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
We'll now move into the beginning roll call.
For those of you who are just ratified, your name's likely not on this attendance list, so if it is not called, please come up here sometime after 7 so I can get that. So, Speaker Taylor,
Here.
Speaker Reese. Here. Parliamentarian Camber,
Present.
Officer Kelly. Chair Lutz.
Here.
Chair Miller. Present. Chair Myers. Chair Myers. Chair Davis. Here. Chair Bucknor. Senator Luna. Here. Senator Bogard. Senator Lushao. Here. Senator Melchior.
Present.
Senator Frist. Present. Present. Okay. Senator Nonanti.
Here.
Senator Minkowski. Here. Associate Senator Young. Senator Pickerel.
Here.
Senator Laura Pardo.
Here.
Associate Senator Hernandez. Senator Salazar.
Present.
Senator Yoselin Rivera. Present. Senator Evelyn Rivera. Present. Senator Sandolfo. Senator Johnson. Here. Associate Senator Macy.
Here.
Senator Isaacs.
Here.
And Senator Gonzalez.
Here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move into the consent agenda. Was there any dissent to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I, as the author of Lex 5401, will be pulling that off of the agenda because the edits made in committees do not get sent out in weekly email. So we'll see that next week for ASCSU's accessibility guidelines, as well as Lex 5407, pending some discussions and potential edits that we will be making to that. Besides that, we'll move into gallery input. Was anybody in the gallery who wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, with no guest speaker, we'll move into executive reports.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to provide a couple quick updates. First, I wanted to start off by saying BSOF, the Board for Student Organization Funding, is up and running and accepting applications. That board has $175,000 this year to roll out to registered student organizations. So if you're part of a different organization outside of ASCSU, that's registered with SLICE, or if you have constituents that are part of organizations, which I'm sure you do, that will be open for you to access, I think, up to $13,000 in funding for events that you're planning. And so it's quite literally one of the biggest impacts that we can make as a student organization, funding these events by registered student orgs. I also did want to talk about an initiative that launched today that we're doing with CU Boulder as well. It's a challenge to register voters, and it's not just to voter registration. It's if you check your voter registration, or if you look up more information through headcount through the specific CSU link, then you're essentially entered into a raffle, and the prize leading up until the Rocky Mountain Showdown will be 2 sideline passes to the Rocky Mountain Showdown. And so that's quite a big carrot to get you to check your registration. We're also doing kind of an inter-student government challenge as well. If CU Boulder happens to win this voter registration initiative, then I'll have to dress in CU gear, go to Boulder and do a day of service. So I'll be at the dining halls and doing whatever their student government finds appropriate for me to do. Same thing on their end. I'd love to see some of my tri-exec friends at Boulder in some CSU gear, doling out food at Ramshorn. All of that to say that we understand that voter registration isn't open for everyone, certainly not open for international students, and it's not open for undocumented students. And so making it very clear that it's only this week that it's running through, but we're going to continue doing civic engagement work all the way up until November. And to be civically engaged, it doesn't mean that it stops at voting, or that voting is essentially the only action you can take to be involved in your government. You can hold your elected officials accountable. You can go to town hall meetings. You can do other things to be civically engaged outside of actively voting. And I think that it's really our responsibility to connect as many students as possible to those opportunities. It's something that we're thinking about, and it's something that my director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I've charged her with thinking about how to be really intentional from here to November, how to include everyone in these conversations around civic engagement and voting. That's all I had for you today, Senate. Thank you so much.
We'll now move into judicial reports. No? Okay. Moving then to legislative reports, beginning with officers. I will just say a couple of quick things and then pass that on. We had the fall report this last weekend, so thank you to all of you in executive who helped to plan that, specifically Chief of Staff Jakai Nunley. We put a lot of effort into that, and I just wanted to acknowledge that, even though I couldn't be at the report this weekend. Secondly, we do have a new Senate Instagram account that I made a couple of weeks ago that will hopefully be active soon. I know that many of you follow the old account that hasn't posted since I think 2021. So if you want to follow this one, you can. It's ASCSU.Senate. So just thought I would put that out there. That's all that I have.
Howdy, y'all. So I have a couple of things. So first and foremost, just a reminder that our onboarding process this year is going to look a little different. If anyone from your constituency gets voted in, make sure to email either Graham or I so we know about them and we can get them to the appropriate resources. Additionally, office hours, we're going to be recording them by the end of the month. That's the goal. That's going to happen. So make sure you're practicing good office hour and committee attendance habits. And if you're new, make sure to come up here at the end of the session so that I can get your information. Additionally, I have some notes from Pangaea, our amazing director of finance. I'm sure Nick also touched on them. That was on great with the mic. So, PSOP is up and running. We've had a meeting, two meetings now actually, and the application for different RSOs are open, essentially is it. And then I also want to thank Jakai for the ball retreat. It was amazing. Thank you, Jakai. Shout out Jakai.
What's going on, everyone? Like Brooke said, onboarding, just let us know throughout the steps, especially if you've been voted in. It's that way no one comes up here and is voted in if they were approved by their college. Oh, and I would also like to thank Jakai for dealing with me saying, oh, I want to go, and then dropping out at the last minute. So I love Jakai. Thank you very much. That is all.
I only have a really brief thing related to our fall retreat. We did some really great work during our retreat and really set some important intention going forward about how we're going to create a better culture for ASCSU. I think that's a goal across all the branches. And I'd really like to make sure that we see that work continue. And so we don't forget what we learned in the retreat, and those who weren't there, just pay attention when your colleagues are like, hey, yeah, actually, we addressed that in the retreat and we're going to do things a little differently going forward. And then massive thank you, of course, to Jakai, anyone who helped cook or clean, anything like that. It was wonderful. And we hope to just keep the good work going. So thank you all for attending and for those who planned.
Moving now into committee abstract. Chair Watts.
Thank you. Excuse me. Committee met yesterday at 8:30 in the morning. It was not fun. Hopefully that won't happen again. But normally meet Mondays 3 to 4. We went over some legislation, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, please come to committee. You kind of have to. So come to mine. It's the best. So yeah, I yield.
Chairman Heller.
Committee met last Thursday, 12:01. I said that I couldn't just sit in a room by myself. Quite frankly, I can. Please come to committee. We do important things there, really good legislation, and I mean, you kind of have to in your job description. I don't think I have to say anymore.
Thank you. Chair Forsky.
Okay, first of all, so our caucus is also during this time. I know last year we kind of mixed them up, but
I know it was kind of mixed up. I mean, technically it's committee abstract, although I don't, I guess, have an issue with that today, if you want to.
okay. Because I can also do like a report during Senator Associate Center. It just seems easier to do like a report before like the end of the agenda, you know, because sometimes we get rid of that. Anyways, I don't have a set time yet for women and social justice caucus. I am thinking Monday or Tuesday. I'm gonna send out a poll if I can figure that out. And so hopefully next week I'll have the first meeting. My other ask is that I will be writing a bill soon to get a bookshelf. But before I write that, if you know anyone that's getting rid of a bookshelf, if you find like a cute one at a thrift store, or if you're like just looking around ARC, let me know, because we'll need another bookshelf. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you. Chair Davis.
For parliamentary, let's see, I'll yield for a second, I'll do it during my
Then moving now into Senator and Associate Senator reports, and you can go ahead if you want to.
Thanks. Okay, so then two things. I'll start with City Center. Again, not a lot going on this week. We are just kind of opening up. I do realize that I forgot to post the back outline last week, so I'll do that right after this. Don't worry about that. But on September 25th, from 6 to 8 p.m. is the Survivor Speaker Collective, and that is happening. I actually can't provide the location, but if you register, then they will give you the location, and there will be dinner there. And so that is meant to just kind of help like empower our community, let survivors speak out. So come support. It would be very cool if you did. And then housing caucus staff, actually there's a lot, but we are meeting on Fridays from 9 to 10 a.m. every Friday, and participation is reserved now. So it'll be in the conference room, and probably not this Friday, but sometimes they bring snacks, so please come. But we did meet over the summer. And we did a lot of work, especially around Prospect Plaza. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about that, come find me and I will talk to your ear off about it. I'll be open.
Thank you. Senator Luna.
Yeah, so yesterday the Committee for Disability and Accessibility met for the first time this semester, which is really cool. We got to talk a lot about goal setting, things of the sorts. Something that we especially established was that we're looking for new members. So CDSA, which we also know it as, we're just looking for new members, and through this you can review project proposals just to increase accessibility on campus in general. I feel like the easy way, like example would be like more of the handicap buttons. That's a big thing that people in the community are working on. But it also definitely looks like other things like sound systems, decompression spaces. There's so many things that it could be. And if you're looking to add to that, just email Justin. He's the director of the Student Disability Center. And then you can also always ask me any questions. And I'm going to post a flyer in the teams right now.
Thank you. Senator Barbara.
I didn't actually figure out what I was gonna say.
Senator Rochelle. Am I saying that correctly?
It's Bushhouse.
Rochelle, thank you.
And APAC, we're still accepting applications for our Rice Bowl event. It's Sunday, September 15th from 5 to 7. Applications are filling up quickly with that. So if you're interested, fill out the QR code on the APAC website and their Instagram. And they're also looking for more applicants for the All Nations Leadership Retreat. And this is mainly for first year and transfer students within the NAC and APAC centers. So if you know anybody interested, please let them know. The sign up is also on their website.
Thank you. Is it Senator? Yeah, Senator Rivera.
I just wanted to formally invite everyone to our National Latinx Heritage Month. I know it starts September 12th and it goes all the way to October 11th. But we'll be teaming up with Round Events to host some of these events, such as like a winery, a Central South American Caribbean meetup, a coffee with Latinx leaders, and
Do I see any additional senators and associates who want to speak at this time? Yes. Janice?
So we're experiencing a slight technical issue, so if we have people who wanted to speak that didn't during this time, would you allow them, what to do them?
Yeah, that's fine. Besides that,
Anything different?
I see. Okay. Besides that, we'll move into conference business with 2 hours on the conference clock, beginning with the election of the budgetary affairs committee chair. Do I see any nominations or nominations? Okay. Seeing no nominations, we will move. Oh, go ahead.
I nominate Senator Fazy. I think that she is a very good candidate. Puts in a lot of good work, and I'd like to hear her piece.
Do you accept that nomination? I do. Okay. Do you see any additional nominations or self-nominations at this time? I see none, you can go ahead and come up then. You'll have 10 minutes to give any kind of speech that you want to.
Hey y'all, I know I'm very new here, so I understand kind of any apprehension between me getting this job, but I'm very willing to learn. I kind of want to put in the effort. It doesn't seem anyone else wants this position, so I'm more than happy to fill in. And I do have a bit of experience with money. I'm not just kind of going to this blind. I like to think I'm pretty good at numbers, and little personal brag. If you guys know, Wharton Business School, me and my friend got highest grossing in high school, so we got a little newspaper written about us. So I like to think I'm okay at money or managing money and that stuff. So I don't know. I like to think I'm good for the job.
Then we can begin 10 minutes of Q&A with Chair Miller.
Hi. Considering your lack of experience in ASCSU, what kind of steps are you looking to pursue in terms of getting used to this job and learning the ropes, essentially?
Well, I think a big part of the budgetary committee is working with a lot of people, like obviously our student accountants, adult accountants, all that stuff. So I think I'll do a good deal of learning from them, a good deal of kind of talking to my friends here at ASCSU, seeing what we can do with that.
Thank you.
Senator Rochelle.
Could you describe what experience you had with handling money?
So for this little challenge that I did, we had to effectively build a business. So my department, if you will, was risk management and kind of allocation of the budget. So I think that kind of goes really well here. And this isn't exactly too related, but I was in a union this summer, so I learned a little bit of money from them, stuff like that. So
Very cool. Thank you.
Chair Porsky.
Sorry, I wasn't ready there. Okay. What is your leadership style, or what would you like your leadership style to be in this committee?
Since I'm new, I would very much kind of look to my elders, kind of listen to everyone else's opinion. I don't think I would, know best in the situation since I don't have too much experience just with this particular area. So I'm a leadership style, we kind of community all together.
Perfect. And then my other question is, what kind of leadership experience have you had in the past, if any?
So as corny as this is, I did play a lot of sports, but I played football, hockey, soccer, baseball, all kind of team related, so I kind of know what it's like to work amongst other people, kind of get stuff done, stuff like that. So
That's a super valid answer. Okay, thank you. I yield my time.
Chair Davis.
Kind of similar to what Chair Miller said, do you, because you don't have a lot of experience at the moment, do you feel confident that you can grow as a role?
100%. I joined ASCSU because more work. I want to get involved here, and I think given the time and the effort that I'm willing to put in, I can 100% do it.
Good. I yield.
Do I see anybody else who wants to ask a question? Senator Warren Parker.
I have a point of information. What exactly does this role entail?
So the position mostly is leading the budgetary reforms committee. So in that sense, it's a lot like any of the committee chairs that we have, just with facilitating those meetings, planning the agenda, getting that kind of legislation, leading that as committees make edits to it. I believe that the budgetary committee chair also does quite a bit with the budget of the Senate, and so they kind of track when we spend out of the discretionary fund, and so they keep track of how much we have spent, how much we have left, like communication with like the ASCSU accountant and those kinds of things. Anybody has anything you want to add to that?
An additional point of clarification, I talked to our student accountant this afternoon, Gavin Lesser, and he has he's willing to attend and schedule the Budgetary Affairs Committee when he's available. He was a senator last year. He attended the Budgetary Affairs Committee regularly, and he does have experience within ASCSU financials. So we do have someone to help Aiden. Aiden has this position.
Okay, I have a question for you now. How quickly do you learn?
I like to think I'm a fast learner. I'm definitely more of a visual learner than anything else, but I'm sure speaking to everyone, and having a little bit of experience already, I think getting into it, I can work pretty well.
Okay. You mentioned that you are willing to go into the space and that you've had leadership. I kind of want to know more, kind of like why you want this position and why you want this role. Can you give us like a little bit of a rundown?
First off, I just kind of want to get more involved here at ASCSU. I'm happy being an associate senator, but I feel like I can really do good here in the budgetary committee. And also, just from some of the stuff I've seen, I want to get us paid. I feel like, and especially getting like undocumented immigrants opportunities, jobs as well. I feel like that's kind of a big thing because you got to, I don't know, you need someone who's willing to put in the work for that, and I personally am. So I think that's what's important.
You?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Any last minute questions? Okay, seeing none, we can take a step outside.
Whoa.
We'll begin 10 minutes of session debate with Senator Malone.
Thank you, Chair David. Speaker here. But yeah, I voted for it. I have full confidence. Like, generally speaking, it's as I said last time, I definitely thought there were more qualified people here in the space to do the role that I did not want. And I feel like this is definitely potentially one of the people who we can have as budgetary chair. I have full confidence that they can grow this role, and if need be, I can reach and all definitely help in our own ways for when it comes to like the experience they may not have with ASCSU. Because honestly, I think that's what we really need to do. I yield the rest of my time.
On to Chair Miller.
We haven't had anyone else who has wanted this role. So anyway, it seems like they seem really willing to grow and learn in this position. And I think that willingness can
will be extremely helpful in this job. Thank you very much.
Senator Biancaski.
Hi, so I am our Warner College Council president, and I've known Aiden for a very short time. She seems very eager and happy to take on tough roles, which I commend her for. I do feel that Aiden being new to the space might be better instead of as a chair of the Budgetary Affairs Committee, possibly serving our college on a board first that handles finances to kind of get a feel for how CSU runs their budgets, and maybe getting some more experience in general before voting yes. But again, we haven't really had anyone set forward for this position, so I will concur.
Thank you. Now I'm going to totally butcher it. Senator Genso?
I've known Hayden since last year, and I know the kind of work ethic she kind of has, and I think she would totally be suitable for this type of role. And she does a lot of math classes last semester. Her work ethic is just out, so I can't recommend her enough.
Senator Warren.
I think that her heart is in the right place. I can see that they are very hardworking. I can see that they seem like they seem passionate about this, and the fact that they also are thinking about other identities while running for this position. So for that reason, I think she is a good fit for this role.
Chair Davis.
Motion to approve this candidate would be unanimous consent.
So I think, because this is discussion and debate, that would be a motion to approve this question.
Oh, sorry, motion for previous question, second.
Do you want to see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move into a period of voting. Chair Davis.
Motion to approve this candidate would be unanimous consent.
Do you want to see any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, this candidate is accepted with unanimous consent. Not yet. We'll have somebody in the judicial come swear to them.
Raise your right hand. All right. I state your name.
I, Aiden Faith,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold the rules and regulations
to defend and uphold the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
We'll now move into the election of the Accessibility Caucus Chair. Do I see any nominations, self-nominations at this time? Seeing none, we will move into old business. So I will step out of the way.
And bylaws and it's.
Yes, you're gonna probably wanna, close these screens. Okay, hold
Am I doing the other?
on. Well, no, but hold on. Or you don't have to. You don't have to. I just had the current bylaws up. Okay. Screen sharing.
Because this document was not sent out in the weekly email, the edits made in committees will be read in full, and then we will be able to discuss those.
Every edit, no, we know those are yours, right?
Yeah, we don't have to do all of my edits in full. Those have been sent out the last couple of weeks now, so it's just the ones made in the committees.
Okay. Okay, we have an edit that was made in university prayers. It says in the event that a Senate session lasts longer than 2 hours, any additional hours, the third hour will count as an office hour and subsequent hours will be counted towards total required for the week. That has been crossed out and replaced with time spent in Senate shall count towards office hour requirements. We added the ASCSU senator job descriptions, but those have already been approved by this body, so I'm not going to read those in full because y'all have had those. And they're quite lengthy. Oh, the author would like to make an edit here to remove this S.
It's just a consistency element. None of the other ones have that, so glad I caught that.
The formatting was made calibri 16 point font. Also font and font size, presumably for consistency.
Yes.
I don't remember these being this long. Almost. Okay.
That's nothing new.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why is it green?
I don't know. I made all of those edits myself. I don't know why it's not just the same.
Maybe if you opened a new document and did it separately, it might have counted you twice. It's two different editors. Okay, here we go. We gotta be getting close now. Here we go. Okay, so just so that this makes sense, I'm gonna read this entire piece. It is H of section 1 of general rules. Legislation not on the agenda may be added by a 2/3 vote of the Senate, so long as it meets all other requirements to be considered by the Senate and is read in its entirety for accessibility, or was sent out 48 hours in advance to the weekly email, or in extreme circumstances such as unforeseen office closure, etc., other methods as outlined in the Senate bylaws in which Senate members have reasonable access to documents presented in Senate, in conjunction, this is the new edit, in conjunction with an email sent out before the start of Senate to ensure consistency of method delivery. So all legislation can be referenced through one medium. And then that was out of DEI committee. And then in the section B of section 3, decorum in the Senate, section B, under section A, subsection 2, well, what would be 3? If a member continues to not adhere to proper attire in the following Senate sessions at the discretion of the chair, they shall be asked to leave the space, was removed. And I believe that is all of the changes that happened in committee from the time this was last sent out.
Yes, that was all of the edits.
Okay. Excellent. Also pull up. Okay, so and then B, we do have the actual
piece of legislation that goes with this.
Do something. Because that's all. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll just pose that to the whole body. The question was, why does it have to be a resolution? And the Constitution says that the passage of new bylaws and amending the bylaws will be a resolution. So that's why that is what it is.
Okay, so the abstract reads, this resolution aims to pass the bylaws for the 54th Senate of ASCSU.
So constitutionally, not constitution, according to the bylaws, when the Senate discusses the passage of the next set of bylaws, we have to go into the committee of the whole. So I move to dissolve into the committee of the whole with unanimous consent.
Do I hear a second to that motion? Do I hear dissent to that motion is what I actually meant to say. Do I hear any dissent? Hearing none, we will enter a period of committee of the whole. So before we start committee of the whole, I kind of want to lay out some more groundwork than we did last week, just so that everyone's more so on the same page. So first and foremost, motions, making motions is how we're gonna kind of move forward during this time period. We do eventually, allegedly, want to exit the committee of the whole. So if there's things you want to change, make sure to motion them when you speak. Additionally, don't be afraid of utilizing points of information and points of clarification. If you have any questions about what we're doing, what's happening, if you feel completely lost, feel free to ask. With your placard, as Graham so graciously presented. Not typical of a committee. We are going to run with the speakers list. I'm going to take a pause to breathe. Okay. So we're going to run with the speakers list purely because of how many people are here. It'd be really chaotic for all of you to be on all of the mics at the same time. And it stressed me out. And that's not good. So yeah, speakers list, raise your placards, I'll write you down, and eventually we'll get to you. Pinky promised. And then, yeah, discussion, it's a discussion with motions, is essentially what's happening. Does everybody pretty much get it? I want to see thumbs up. All the people with voting rights pretty much put their thumbs up. Yay! Okay, now entering period, committee of the whole, raise your placards to speak. Chair Davis.
I show a point of information because I'm confused. So for the one that was made about the hours, like time spent in Senate, is that, I know that that was like a big discussion. I don't remember where we landed on that. Is that like, as the whole amount of time that we spend in Senate counts for 1 hour, the whole amount of time we spend in Senate from 6:30 to whenever counts toward office hours?
So that was going off of the discussions that we had last week with the job descriptions, lots of discussions with how office hours will be counted, and what we ended up on with what passed was that time spent in Senate counts as an office hour, and so that'll be just like any office hour. So 6:30 to 7:30 will be one, 7:30 to 8:30 will be a second one, and so on. In the past, what that has been is 6:30 to 8:30 is nothing, and then anything past that counted. But now that will just be all of it counts. Each hour was one office hour. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then how many hours did we land on last week in the job descriptions?
Senators is 5, and associate senators was, what did we decide?
It stayed the same, I think.
Yeah, 4, it stayed the same.
Okay, cool. I yield. Chair Frisky?
I'm so sorry. Can I have clarification on like what we're doing in this? Like what we're trying to change or edit? What parts?
So the goal of this, as laid out in the bylaws, correct?
Yes.
As laid out in the bylaws have to go through committee of the whole in its last reading. So we're just in that committee of the whole, any edits that anyone feels that should be made is essentially what we're going over.
Oliver, I yield my time.
I'll just add to that, we should talk some about some of the edits made in committees, and just thoughts on some of those, but we can talk about anything if you want to.
Moving a little backwards, did you accept the edits made in committee?
I accept all of them except the last one pending discussion.
Is he allowed to accept specific edits in committee of law?
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You have author's rights, so he can accept
Yeah.
or decline edits, I think, at any time. I would encourage doing, okay. So the author of a bill can accept or decline the committee edits. He could have done that beforehand, or could do so after, but what's nice about this is that we're gonna address this while we're in committee of the whole. We can collectively make changes as needed, and really it's ultimately he will decide to accept or reject changes.
So to specify that then, I will accept the edits made by the University Affairs Committee, and I will accept the edit made about the sending of documents in the weekly email made by DEI Committee. I will not yet accept the edit to, what was that? The Guapo tile edit, because I would like to have some discussion as the committee of the whole about that. And I also have an edit that I will suggest, but I would like to have some discussion.
So are we all on the same page? Are we all familiar with the dress code part of the bylaws, or do we want to read over that just to reiterate? Cool. With that, Chair Frisky. Okay, so first I'd like to ask, like, are you trying to keep the dress code the same as it is right now as it stands?
So with the edit that was made was essentially taking out the enforcement mechanism of that. And so nothing about the dress code has changed beyond what I edited a few months ago in that. So the dress code itself has stayed the same, and the discussion, I guess, would be, I would assume, mostly kept on the edit made in that committee. So if folks who attended that committee want to speak maybe to why that was, I would welcome that.
Okay. Is it possible to yield to someone else and then come back? Because I would love clarification from someone who's in the committee to just explain really quick. Our DEI chair isn't currently here. Also, you're on the list and you're also on the list. You're good. I'll get you on the list. So who was?
Point of clarification, they both were in that committee when that change was made, so that's why they're trying to jump in.
Okay, if you know of a specific person who was in DEI, feel free to yield to them. Also, raise your hand if you're in DEI, so she can yield to you. Who would like to talk about it? All right, I will yield to you.
So in DEI, we talked about how accessible the clothing attire is. Like for some people, like it might be like financially they can't have the, business attire. Like even if it is business casual, it's hard to like require and force it on everybody. And as through the lens of DEI, we want to be inclusive and we don't want to exclude someone from this space just based on clothing. We felt as a committee that the business attire should be highly encouraged, but it can't be enforced.
Can I quickly speak to that?
Yes.
Okay. So what we've had in the past is ASCSU marketing has gotten some kind of clothing that is just offered to all people in ASCSU. So that's things like the ASCSU polos and the like quarter zip jackets. That will be happening again in the coming weeks. And what we've done in the past is that is then kind of the minimum expectation with that, because that's something that all people have access to. And until we have something like that, that would not be enforced.
Point of information, So who would be enforcing this? Like, how do you want this to be enforced? Like, what is, I just need a little bit more structure to that.
Yeah, so consistent, I guess, with what has happened in the past, and maybe now would be a good time that I could talk some about the edit I was potentially going to make to this. What has been in the past is we have just kind of general announcements, not like calling anybody out, but just, hey, we have this this rule in place of what people should be wearing to Senate meetings. And then if that continues and we continue to see people not meeting that expectation, that the Speaker of the Senate and the Recruitment and Retention Officer would set up a joint meeting with the individual or people deemed to be in, I guess, violation of that. And then jointly, we would all determine proper attire for people's specific situations. And that's, I would imagine that's as far as any of this would go. But if we feel that somebody is not, if we feel that somebody is not following that specification, we would meet with them, we would all talk, and we would all come to a conclusion so we could all be on the same page. And that would be something that's suited to people's individual needs and individual situations. Like I know some people might have a long class that they need to have specific clothing to wear, and that's just before Senate, so then they can't go and change, and then we can accommodate that. And people's financial situations and cultural and ethnic backgrounds have different clothing that they deem appropriate in certain situations, and so then we can all be on the same page, if that makes sense.
So I'm gonna read this out loud. Proper attire is anything that is business casual, similar to what one would wear to a job interview or equivalent upholding to the identities the member holds. Everyone wears something different. Everyone has a different definition of business casual. So I feel like we need to establish what business casual looks like for everyone. And then everyone
take that.
Actually, I do ask because it was meant to be like one point of information. They
Oh.
can either go through like the list and then you can address more specifics just so that we have going circular and there are people waiting.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. So we can fully jump back into it. Do you want me to go ahead and add you to the speakers list? Awesome. Thank you.
So I think now would be a good time that I can show the edit that I sent to you. But essentially, this is following we'll give it 1 second.
Could I ask you to present this a little bit later just so that people on the list who have points related? Okay, thank you. I'll also add you. With that, Senator McGuire.
So I have two concerns with this. The first is business casual is already highly subjective. The second is this creates a separate enforcement mechanism in the decorum section of our bylaws, specifically for attire. If you look at E in this section, there's an enforcement mechanism which requires a 2/3 vote of the Senate body. Instead, this places the entire enforcement on legislative cabinet and the chair. I yield.
Could we look at that section, please?
Is this what you're referring to?
No, if you scroll down to the bottom of section 3, it's section 3E.
Got it.
Okay, with that, Chair Davis, you're next on the speakers list.
Cool. Okay, really quick.
Would you actually like kick someone out if they broke the dress code? Like, be real.
So that's an excellent question. We have now a process set in place in the bylaws, and so the idea behind all of that is that it doesn't get to that point. And so we have announcements that will be made, and so that people know about the policy. We have individual one-on-one meetings with people that we can all get onto the same page. And then if it has to elevate, I suppose it would, but I mean, look, I'm always willing to meet people halfway. And so I find it highly unlikely.
Cool. I just wanted to like put that out there really quick before I say what I'm gonna say. For anyone who can't see my outfit right now, it's super cute. I have on my jeans with a rips in it and my Dolly Parton shirt. I would never wear this to a job interview. This is not business casual, and I knew that coming in. But that also doesn't mean that I am any less capable of having like good ideas or being in the Senate space because I'm not in business casual. And I know that you just said that you wouldn't kick anybody out, but I also really don't want to have one-on-one meetings or carry an extra shirt in my bag all day because I'm here from like 9:30 a.m. to 7:30 at night. And I don't, sometimes it gets really uncomfortable. It gets really warm in here right now. And sometimes it gets really cold in here. And sometimes I just want to wear my jeans so that I can actually focus on what's being said and not the fact that I'm in really uncomfortable pants or skirt. So with all that being said, I don't think that dress code should be encouraged. Yeah, is it fun to dress up? Absolutely. I don't think it should be anything necessary because it does, like, it does not make a difference what someone is wearing when they are talking in this space or when they're in this space. I think it really comes down to who they present themselves to be. And so I think that this edit is a good one because it just opens the space up more and makes people want to be here more because there's not an extra boundary in place for them, if that makes sense. I'll yield. Thank you, Chair Miller. I mean, it could go either way. I just think like talking to people that there's always like accommodations that can be made. And I think that this part of the bylaws is just outlining a process in the case that it had to happen. And yeah, I'd say one, but I think I've written them. Thank you, Senator Laura.
Okay. Hearing more helped. But I do agree. I feel like no one's gonna tell me the way I should be dressing or shouldn't be dressing. I feel like it would be great to enforce this. I already dress business casual to the best of my abilities. Do I have my own little spin on it? Yes. But business casual is different for everyone. For me, it includes my boots because of my culture. It includes my boots. In American culture, that's not acceptable. So I feel like we can enforce it. I love to see everyone and like all fancy. Like maybe we can do that for a media day. We all dress up fancy, we take a picture, go back to our regular attire. I don't know. But for now, I do think that it could be heavily enforced, or not heavily, it could be recommended, but not something that has to be enforced.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. I also would just like a thought, and like this goes back to like high school dress code. The two people that you are recommending have a conversation with people about dress code are males, are like are presented as men. And so it might be, and not to speak for either of y'all, uncomfortable to come and talk to me and be like, hey, your shirt, your pants aren't really fitting the dress code that we have allotted, and like not to put like an expectation on y'all that would be uncomfortable. But that's been what the problem is at like at a high school level dress code. And so I think it might be difficult to like follow through with that because in my like first year at ASCSU, I didn't always dress business casual, and I had a friend, and he was a male, and he didn't always dress business casual. He dressed the exact same, like not business casual, and he was told that he needed to dress more business casual. So like I think it could get into like a gender based thing that we just don't want it to, and so I think it might be easier to like recommend that we dress business casual, and especially for like if we know the collegian is coming and we want to like take a cute picture, or if we know ratifications are happening, please dress nicely. Like I think that is when we could be like, hey, like if you can dress business casual, like that'll be a really cool thing. We have polos, whatever. But I agree with everybody else that like it might, for multiple reasons, it might get a little bit muddled in how this is carried out. Although I do believe the intention is like honorable and good. I yield.
Can you yield to me, please?
Yeah, I'll yield to you.
Thank you. I'm not beyond admitting when I hadn't thought of something like that, and I hadn't thought of it like that. So thank you. That's definitely a good point, and that's something that we can look at with that, because that is a huge issue, and I hadn't thought that the two people that would be doing that identify as males, and that could be a potential issue. So thank you for raising that point. Definitely would now be a good time to mention am I on the list?
You're on the list.
Oh.
You have 2 people. It's your turn. Anika, how do you pronounce your last name again? Senator Bishop.
After hearing more with like the polos and the quarters, I like having you have something to base off of, and that's not you can wear a top that would fit. And I feel like that would make it a lot more accessible, and I feel like that will make it easier to make it highly encouraged, or even if we decide to enforce it, we can do that. But I'm not still too certain on the enforcing personally, because I feel like just like the thought of like if someone reads the bylaws like, oh, if you don't dress a certain way you'll get kicked out, it might scare people away from the space, and I'm not sure if that's something we want to be doing. But I feel like the intentions, because we are doing like legislation, we're doing like formal stuff, and I don't know, I personally like to dress up, so like I like the highly encouraged. I'm just not too sure if we should enforce it. How do you?
Thank you, Senator Brisky.
Okay, so I have 2 points. The first one is when we talk about like the quarter zips and that, that's great. The only issue I'm seeing is we're not including the bottom half of our bodies. And so if you want to enforce dress code, like someone has super ripped jeans or something like that, then that's, you can't just be like, put a quarter zip on your legs, so it solves part of the problem, but not all of it. You know what I'm saying? And with that, as kind of touched on before, dress codes a lot of times historically do target women in different ways. Dress codes could be very gendered, and we go into a lot of issues there. But I also, this kind of goes into my next point, which is we're not just doing this for like, we put this in here for this Senate, but these are also going to like have to be approved like next year and that. So we also have to keep in mind that like what we're setting up now is not just a this year problem, it's a years to come problem. That while I hope and I have full faith in this organization now, and I hope that that would stay the same next year, I also want to prepare for the worst. And so it doesn't sit completely right with me having like the full power put in someone's hands to like decide to kick someone out. Because while I know you would have more conversations and you would have more open dialogue, the next speaker of the Senate might not. You know what I'm saying? And then
I'm not gonna make a motion yet. I yield. Speaker Taylor.
Oh, cool, okay. So I will talk to those quickly. To begin, none of the dress code section is new. This has all been something that we have had since I've been involved in the Senate, and I would imagine quite a while before that as well. We used to have actually a speaker of the Senate who, if you don't come in a coat and tie, would not let you sit in the meeting. And so that is nothing new, but it's also not final, whatever we decide on. And so it doesn't have to wait until next year to be edited. If we get into it and people have issues with that, we can always have legislation to amend the bylaws. And going on the kind of issues in application of this among different genders and gender identities. Does anybody have any suggested edits to that? Because I see that that's a point of concern with that, and I would be happy to listen to edits if anybody has those. But quickly, we will move into, I guess, my edit that I had.
Okay, so we do have a potential edit. I think it's just easiest to slide this over, so you're gonna see a preview of some of my conversations. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I live with integrity. I can stand by what I say in my chats. Anyway, I will read this out loud. One, repeated violations. This would be to replace what was stricken.
Can I quickly add something?
Yes.
Yes. So this is copied and pasted off of the section on ad hominem in the bylaws and is basically just amended to fit this specific situation. This is not definitely a final edit, so I'm definitely open to have discussions about this as well. But with a lot of the issues that we've seen, I thought this is something that we could talk about.
Okay, it says repeated violations of this rule shall use the following 3-strike rule. 1, the first time that a Senate magistrate believes that a member is not in proper attire, the Speaker of the Senate shall give a general explanation and reminder of proper attire to the Senate body and shall issue a general warning to the collective Senate body. 2, the second time that a Senate magistrate believes that a member is not in proper attire, the Speaker of the Senate and the recruitment and retention officer shall meet privately with that member and jointly determine proper attire. 3, if a member continues to not adhere to proper attire in the following Senate sessions at the discretion of the Speaker of the Senate and the recruitment and retention officer, they shall be asked to leave the space.
So a lot of that is kind of cementing the process that I've kind of consistently outlined tonight in a way that I think is easier to follow and that you know what's coming than the way it was said now. And I think that this might get to some of the issues that folks have with it, but I'm seeing a lot of people who want to talk now, so I'll let that happen.
I also just want to restate the outline of like what's said in the most simple terms possible. So first time essentially is a general warning. Second time would be a meeting, and then third would be asking to leave, just so that everyone's on the same page. There's a lot of words. I'm putting it in the chat as well, all the teams. Senator Rivera. I just had a few things to say. I don't think it should be enforced. I think it should be encouraged, and I love dressing up, but also like due to like my past stuff like that, sometimes I don't feel comfortable like wearing specific clothing attire, even if it's business casual. Like I prefer wearing something more loose that I feel more comfortable in, and I know that might not look acceptable for this scenario, like for ASCSU sometimes, but if that's gonna prioritize my safety and how I feel, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear, I guess. And I also feel like we're trying to invite people to come to ASCSU. I'm trying to bring in my community to come to ASCSU, and seeing people in like business clothes sometimes is kind of like scary. Like maybe I just don't fit. Like maybe my jeans and my shirt just don't fit in this place. And just because of what someone else is wearing, it's just gonna push them away even more. And I'm trying to bring in more like Latinx, Latin, more of my Latinx community into here. And I've been inviting a lot of like students to come. And I think that's just another like barrier for them. Like just seeing someone who doesn't look like you or doesn't wear the same attire as you is just gonna keep pushing away, like pushing us more away as well. Yeah, I just like just feeling out of place, and I just think it should be like encouraged, but I just don't think it should be enforced. And I hear that.
Thank you. I'm just gonna take this time, because technically we're a committee, so I'm gonna guide the conversation a little less sanity, than's necessarily regular. So I'm hearing a lot of similar opinions, similar ideas, and I would like to see motions towards specific types of like edits that could be made, considerations of Hayden's proposed edit, as well as Senator Melchior's mention of this right here. Does everyone understand what this implicates? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Point of information, what specifically are you talking about?
The highlighted section that Senator Melchior mentioned earlier in terms of there already being a form of enforcement.
Oh, hey, your head's in the way.
Hayden, you're tall.
My bad.
So with this already being here, we do understand that there is a form of enforcement already there, right? Yes. Cool. With that, let's get back to the speakers list. And let's see how you point to make.
I was gonna tell Elijah to speak.
Senator Sandoval?
What's up? Sorry, I forgot where I was for a minute. Um, so first question, I have a question and then I have kind of a statement, but first question is, to my understanding, CSU in general does not have a dress code. So why would we want a dress code within ASCSU? I yield to Speaker Hayden.
That's a good question. And I guess the answer that I would have to that has been the case in the past is that CSU and going to classes and just being on campus is one setting that people can exist in. And then when we come into a place like the Senate that demands a sense of professionalism, and some of that comes in things like the way that we class and the way that we talk to each other. And ASCSU has always been and will continue to be a professional space. So I guess that's the answer that I would have to that.
Awesome. That's like, I totally understand that. Thank you. Another question is that I want to point out that you said that CSU on campus is a space that we exist in, whereas ASCSU is another space that we exist in. Not trying to diminish the importance of ASCSU, but it was brought up before about, being on classes for a long period of time. I don't know about all of y'all, but I have, like, Wednesdays are my long days. I have class at 8 a.m. and I go until now. And, obviously I'm not there. I'm sick. That's a whole other thing. But I and I'm a commuter student, and I would rather be comfortable in my classes than have to carry a change of clothes with me. Also, I would like to point out that, like, just something to think about, it is getting colder, so we are going to be, wearing sweatshirts, dressing up, like dressing warmer. Um, and for example, like my sweatshirts, my hoodies have Beetlejuice on them or have like Hocus Pocus on them. That it doesn't diminish my professionalism within the space. Now, if someone was showing up in booty shorts and flip flops, that would be a different story. I can totally understand why we would have that conversation. But now, looking just online, looking at everybody, they're dressed pretty professionally. So I don't understand why the way we dress would reflect our professionalism, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I yield. Thank you.
Point of information. Oh, can we scroll up to the part where it talks specifically about proper attire? Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to also mention, because we're a committee, it's more like a conversation format. So if you feel the need to yield your time initially after being called because you feel like your point's no longer relevant, feel free to. This isn't a call out because I am gonna call on Officer Kelly right now.
Yeah, so since my first year here, I remember walking in my first time and I saw Hayden there. He's in his fancy suit and he's looking super serious. And it's like, oh, okay. But no, since I've been here, the dress code has always been nods have been like, dress up. And on principle, I just refuse. Personal principle, my own thing. But yeah, no, I do not see it as accessible to enforce something. Everyone has their own reason. And I think it's kind of weird to say, I'm super flexible on this, just let me know. And it's not really what you're saying, but I don't understand why this is the hill we're choosing to fight on. We're college students. This is a volunteer position to be a senator or associate senator. I think it is starting to ask too much for everyone to dress up when for some people that's just not feasible. So I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Yankowski.
I feel like we all hold similar opinions on this. I think we would like to see it strongly recommended instead of enforced. So I would like to motion that we remove the language surrounding enforcement, especially since it's redundant, and alter it to be strongly encouraged.
I'm just putting a.
Do I hear a second on that motion?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
How does that work?
Hayden, are your proposed edits anywhere that would be accessible for other people to look at as they're thinking through stuff?
I can put it in the Teams if that would be helpful. I don't have my laptop on.
I can put this version here. Let's do this.
Hayden, if you could put your proposed edits on Teams, I think that'd be helpful.
Oh, your proposed edits? I did put them on Teams.
That is on Teams, yeah.
Okay, so if anyone wants to look at what Hayden's proposed edits look like, they are on Teams.
Also, we do have, for context provided by our advisor, what the dress code for LSC employees is. Let me put this up here and I'll read it out loud. The Laurie Student Center dress code policy is designed to help us all provide a consistent professional appearance to our customers and our colleagues. Our appearance reflects upon ourselves in Colorado State University. All employees are expected to dress appropriately for the position they hold, which can include casual, business, and/or designated uniform. All employees will abide by all health and safety rules relating to their specific assignments, i.e. harness for dining services employees. Each department supervisor shall be the finer arbiter of the appropriateness of attire.
If I didn't, you can I make a comment to that?
Yes.
Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm not an employee of the Laurie Student Center. I'm volunteering my time to be here, so I don't necessarily know that the Laurie Student Center dress code applies to us in this space if we're not being paid.
Elisa, do you know how we're employed and stuff works? Can you talk on the mic for accessibility purposes, pretty please? That's the button, right? Sorry. Okay. Hi. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Amy Randazzo. I'm the ASCSU Administrative Assistant. I'm not a senator. I don't have speaking rights, so I'm going to chat real quick. I only shared that so that we knew what the baseline is for the LSC. Notice that it includes casual, it includes business casual, it includes uniform, of a wide variety of things, depending on what your job here is. As far as you all are concerned, you are classified as LSC student employees in some regards because you're volunteers. So for example, we're all mandated reporters when it comes to Title IX violations and things like that, because in our capacity as volunteers, we're working for the LSC, but that does not mean that you're getting paid for this role. It does not mean that you're getting benefits for this role. So I understand that there is a distinction there. Just want to let you know that as volunteers, you're part of the LSC community. And so all of those terms could potentially apply. Casual business, cash business. Thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. With that and the understanding of what was just presented, do you have any other?
No, I'd like to just maintain the motion I made.
Okay, awesome.
How does this, based on your motion, how does this read to you? Members of the Senate are strongly encouraged to maintain a level of decorum with proper attire.
Quick point of information, I think, what would that do to the bullet point above that? The motion that you made, would that then be taken out? Or would that stay in?
Currently, the motion was to add that. So that could be another motion.
Sorry, I think I meant to say add that, but remove the enforcement would be better wording on my part.
So then sub clause 2 and the one that was already taken out of committee, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I will just accept that edit. We don't have to do a vote on that.
Point of information before we go into that, yes, maybe please.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Hi. You mentioned something that was very interesting to me. So you mentioned that us senators, we are part of the LSC employee thing, correct?
The word I used was community very strategically because I do know that you all are not classified as employees for HR. However, as volunteers and representatives of the LSC, you are subject to things like sexual harassment training and the closing time of the building and stuff like that. But non-employees. Sorry about my speech.
Thank you.
Senator Isaacs isn't currently present, so we'll go ahead and add him back in once he is present again. From there, Senator Laura, it's your turn to speak.
I yield my time.
Thank you. Chair Frisky.
Okay. Can I motion to, is there anyone that really needs to speak right now? Like, if you don't speak, you're gonna have an issue. Can I motion to get out of committee of the whole? Is that in order? Are we good?
Yeah, but to get out of committee of the whole specifically for the bylaws, it does require a 2/3 vote of everyone.
Baller. Cool.
You can also do it by unanimous consent.
What did you say?
You can also do that by unanimous consent if you would want.
Okay. I motion to get out. Wait, am I motioning to get out or to approve?
You're motioning to exit committee of the whole by unanimous consent.
I motion to exit committee of the whole by unanimous consent.
Do I hear a second?
Journey.
Sorry. Do I hear any dissent? Hearing none, this motion passes and we're exiting committee of the whole. Okay, so now. So, Hayden, do you accept that it's me?
I do.
Seeing that, we will now enter a period of discussion and debate, 10 minutes.
I want to be
Chair
silly.
I'm sorry, that threw me off. Once again, is there anybody that really needs to speak? Cool. Can I motion a previous question?
Second.
Do I have to say something first? Like,
You did. Motion.
first, okay. And motion to end discussion. I don't know what I'm.
Parliamentarian is this following procedure?
So you would want to either move to previous question to move on to the next section. You could potentially do a motion just to go right into voting if we wanted to do that. But yeah, motion to previous question is probably the most appropriate move.
Motion to previous questions would then send us into voting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Motion to previous question.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? With that, this passes, and we
That
will
was.
now enter a period of voting. Yeah, the motion passes. I didn't say anything about legislation. Now we're entering a piece, wait, okay. We're entering a period of voting. I would entertain a motion to not do this by roll call.
Second.
Chair Davis. Motion to approve this with unanimous consent. Do I hear any dissent? With that, is the bylaws passed.
Yay, bylaws! I will drop this in the Teams once I get the highlights removed. And we'll have a more finalized version with all the track changes removed, like the visible track changes removed within the next 24 hours. But for now, this is what y'all will have.
And the highlight taken out, yeah?
Yeah, highlights taken out. Actually, I can do that in a minute.
Point of inquiry. No, is that right? I'm so tired, dude. Okay. I have a question. How much was left on the confidence clock? That's all I want to know.
About 50 minutes.
Thank you.
49 minutes and 40, 39, 38, 37 seconds.
Not down, Heather.
I know that's around 50 minutes. Okay.
Where the information is oh my god, I'm losing the word. The agenda. Is that somewhere? I know, like the weekly email, like it didn't get sent. Is
That
it?
should be in Teams. I sent that out last weekend along with all of the legislation, I think, but the agenda is definitely in both the Senate teams and the general teams.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't open it.
Okay.
Still.
This bill, we have funding the ASCSU Pocket Pantry. This bill aims to fund the Pocket Pantry of the ASCSU to supply basic needs such as allergy-sensitive food, culturally competent food, and miscellaneous hygiene products for students in need.
Were there any edits made by any of the committees?
Internal. Yeah, we added endorsements. That's it. Internal also endorsed this. That's it.
Awesome, thank you. Senator Venanti.
I believe DEI also endorsed this as well. I don't speak as to anything.
Chair Brisky. So I know I was supposed to get add to the endorsements. So can we just do like a little sheet that we pass around to add the names and committees and whatnot? Does that work?
Yes, the clerk will pass around a piece of paper right now. And as for DEI, as the chair is not here, will communicate with the chair, right?
I have that in an email someplace I can find it.
Never mind, Hayden knows everything, thank you.
Besides endorsements.
Is that all for edits? Awesome. With that, we will be entering a 10-minute period of discussion and debate. Lauren Davis.
Start my thing. I think this bill looks really good. Motion to previous question.
Negative.
Wait.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said. Never mind.
And I heard a second, so doing this by voice. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Exiting a period of discussion and debate, we will now be voting on this piece of legislation. Senator Maloxi,
Motion to approve this legislation with unanimous consent.
do I hear any dissent? Hearing none. This bill passes.
Thank you all.
And we are now entering new business.
DEI. We finally get to new business. Isn't that cool?
Okay.
I present to y'all Lex 5402, amending an inconsistency for timing of a presidential veto in the ASCSU Constitution. This Lex aims to address an inconsistency in the ASCSU Constitution of the period of time after which a bill is considered vetoed.
Point of personal privilege, we are not seeing it on the Teams, the new document.
Oh.
Okay, I can fix that. Give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Is that working?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you have 10 minutes to present.
So this is a kind of a fun one. I spent a lot of time this summer just like studying the Constitution, which feels so stupid to say out loud. But one of the things that we bumped into was that in the specific section of the Constitution, it outlines the amount of time which, if not signed, a bill is considered vetoed. And then in a subclause of that section, it says an amount of time that is usually the same, but it's not always the same. One of them says 2 Senate sessions, and one of them says 2 weeks. And usually that's the same amount of time because we have Senate sessions each week, but that's not always the same amount of time. So I don't know which one I ended up changing it to now, but it was just making that consistent. That's about all I have.
Awesome, thank you. With that, we'll be entering a 10-minute period of Q&A by the first raised placard. Senator Benanti.
I said 2 weeks.
Have you talked to Nick about this bill?
I have.
All right, I yield.
I believe he's also listed as an endorsement on this bill.
Yeah, point of information, Nicholas DeSalvo, president of ASCSU, endorses this legislation.
Do I see any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to exit period of Q&A. And this will be sent out to Internal Affairs.
Just to make this, make sure this is working, Senator Sandoval, will you let me know, is it showing the previous window I had opened, or is it sharing the new Word doc I just opened?
The inconsistency of the ASCSU Constitution?
This one's close. It says amending a typo in the ASCSU Constitution. Is that what y'all are seeing or no?
No.
Okay, good to know. Let me fix that.
While you're fixing it, is it germane for me to just start explaining what this bill is?
Yes.
Should we read the bill and ask for it?
Yes, okay. All right, Lex 5403, amending a typo in the ASCSU Constitution. This Lex aims to amend a typo in the ASCSU Constitution.
Well, I think that the parliamentarian just said that enough times, so I'm not going to say it again. That's exactly what this aims to do. This is something that I noticed in the Constitution a long time ago, and it always kind of bugged me, and I finally just thought I might as well just fix it. So that's all that this is. It's quite simple.
With that, we'll be entering a period of Q&A by the first raised placard. Senator Johnson. A motion to bring this question.
Second.
What was the last bit you said? Am I allowed to say a motion to previous question, or do I have to give something of substance first? In this case, no, you're good. Okay, I heard a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? With that, the ayes have it. We're exiting a period of Q&A, and this will go also to Internal Affairs.
Amending this. All right, Lex 5404, amending a series of errors in the Constitution. This bill aims to make the Constitution easier to understand by removing grammatical issues, inconsistencies, and redundancies, etc.
Yeah, this is also simple, I think. Why this is in 2 pieces of legislation instead of 1 is because I made that one Lex that we just saw, and I sent it out to a bunch of people, and I got enough sponsors to have it seen by the Senate, and then as I was going in looking at all of this stuff, I wanted to edit the Constitution, and then I made this Lex, and so it just wasn't all in one place, but it's basically doing the same thing.
Amazing. With that, we'll be entering a period of Q&A. Senator Maloney, you've been grabbing at your placard. Please speak.
Didn't we give the parliamentarian the power to do this with the job descriptions?
Yes, and it may not constitutionally hold up. So more for that coming soon. I think we'll need to make a constitutional amendment allowing that to be the case. For that to happen, I was really hoping to cut down on some bureaucracy. I was really trying, but I think that it could potentially render any changes that we make, possibly in a constitutional gray area. So for now, we're going to operate as if that is not the case.
All right, is there anyone else who wanted to ask questions? Motion to read this question then.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? With that, we exit a period of Q&A. This will also, believe it or not, be sent to internal affairs.
Okay, we have next. Outdated.
Also, point of clarification, other committees will also get legislation. It's pretty much equal.
No.
And
I don't agree.
and as Alexa has to go to committees twice, so I would imagine the committees that today's don't go to today will go to the other ones next week.
Flex 5405, removing an outdated position from, you guessed it, the ASCSU Constitution. This Lex aims to remove an outdated position from the ASCSU Constitution.
Who would have guessed based on that title, huh? We have a position that's mentioned by name in the Constitution called the Controller, which is not something that exists, and that hasn't existed since at least my time in ASCSU, and I would imagine this was a long time ago that was actually a thing. So this is just taking out like the 2 times I think that it's mentioned, and that's all that is.
Awesome, thank you. With that, we'll be entering the period of Q&A by the first raised placard, Senator Maloney.
Motion to read this question.
Second. Say something.
If we don't have any questions, you can just not ask questions and it would move on. It would maybe be quicker.
Yeah, that is very true. With that though, did I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? With that, we are exiting a period of Q&A, and this will be sent to University Affairs.
All right, we're moving right along to Lex 5406, amending the timing of the vote of confidence. This Lex aims to clarify the timing of the vote of confidence for candidates for the position of Speaker of the Senate for increased transparency, accessibility, and efficient elections.
This is one that I'm also excited about. To the many new folks in this space who may not know, people who run in the ASCSU elections to become the Speaker of the Senate have to do what's called a vote of confidence. And that is essentially a vote that we have Q&A to the candidates, and then the Senate votes to decide if they have confidence in the candidate's ability to hold the position and do the job. And the way that this has been since my time in the Senate is, well, I ran for Speaker 2 times. Was successful the second one. And so I do know a little bit of what I'm talking about with the vote of confidence. The way that this has been is that it's happened in the first week of the campaign, which by that point, candidates, at least I, have devoted a lot of time to that, a lot of money to that, and then to have my eligibility to be on the ballot dependent upon a vote that happens in the campaign time seems a little funky. So this edit is just making the vote of confidence happen before the beginning of the campaign, and so that all of the candidates going into the campaign know that they will be on the ballot, so that they don't have to waste a bunch of time and money just to find out they will not be on the ballot.
Thank you. We'll now enter a period of Q&A by the first race placard.
Point of personal privilege, I can talk. Would I be able to endorse this even though it's on the floor?
Yes.
I would like
Yes.
to endorse it, please.
Okay, and it's noted that you are endorsing this legislation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll be exiting a period of Q&A, and this will be going to University Affairs and DEI.
Quickly adding on to that, I know it's just the beginning of the year now, but if anybody has ambitions of holding the position of Speaker of the Senate next year, you can always come and talk to me about that. I know a lot about it.
Second point of personal privilege, echoing what Speaker Hayden said, if any of y'all have any questions about running for vice president, you are more than welcome to come to me. I do also have experience in that. Thank you.
I will pull these next couple off of the agenda. Is Sammy on Teams? I don't think so.
Sammy would not have known.
So yeah, I will pull the next Lex 54 Route 8 and 9, as well as the resolution, so that we can have the second author in attendance when we look at this.
Point of information, how many things are on the agenda after we pull that off?
Just a couple.
4 items. We have remaining Lex 5410 elections Lex, Lex 5411 making the ASCSU elections more accessible to students, Lex 5412 amending the terms of office for ASCSU officials, and then Lex 5413 amending the method of appointing LSAT members. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have Lex 5410 elections Lex. This Lex aims to codify and expand upon Supreme Court Opinion 5302 in the ASCSU Constitution.
To those of you who have been involved in ASCSU last semester, we had some issues with elections and specifically how the elections code is amended. We have something called an elections code that has all of the guidelines and the regulations on how ASCSU elections can be held. And we have somebody who manages elections out of the judicial branch of ASCSU known as the elections manager. And the opinion of the Supreme Court when this question was asked stated that any legislation amending the elections code had to have the endorsement of the elections manager. And I'll just be totally honest, I think that was kind of a faulty opinion. I think that having one person hold the ability to approve or deny any kind of edits to the elections code seems kind of silly. So I'm not only cementing that idea in the Constitution so that that is a precedent to come for many elections, but also expanding upon that so that it's not just that one individual who holds the ability to basically amend the elections code.
Thank you. With that, we'll be entering a period of Q&A by the first race placard. Seeing none, we are exiting a period of Q&A, and this will be sent do university affairs and internal affairs. We'll be now moving on to Lex 5411, making ASCSU elections more accessible for students.
I have an edit that I'll be making to this as well. It's just a second.
Okay. Lex 5411, making ASCSU elections more accessible for students. This Lex aims to make ASCSU and its resources more accessible and available to the students of Colorado State University by amending the requirements for a ballot referendum.
Something else that happens at elections time, I have a lot of elections edits I want to make. Something that happens at elections that we can have is a ballot referendum in which students can put an amendment to the Constitution on the ballot to be voted on. This is something that has not happened since like 2000, 2001. It's been a long time. And some of why that is because to even get the question onto the ballot to be voted on, you need the signatures of 10% of all students, which might not seem like a lot, that might seem like a lot, but when you look at the voting turnout in the elections, that's a lot. The last couple of elections have gotten about 12% total. And so then to have all of those students be engaged and involved beforehand as well, to know that something is going on the ballot and to agree with it enough to sign on to it seems impossible. So the idea that I have with this is to change it to be a specific number of students and not a percentage, and so that A, people can know how many people they need to sign on to it without having to do all the math, and B, to make it somewhat possible to get a question onto the ballot in elections. The edit I will be making to this is I will be changing the number to 2,000 just for now. This is something, the number that I put into this, I made it up completely. So that's not based in anything, that's just something I made up because I wanted to have discussions in committees about what that should be to be possible to have something put on the ballot, but not easy enough that just anybody can go and put anything on the ballot. So I would like to have some of those discussions as we move into committee, but I can open that up to Q&A now.
Point of information, when it says on the, like actual text of the Lex is, it said 200. Did you mean 200 or 2,000?
2,000 now.
Point of information, he just made that on the floor just now.
But that's open to discussion, that's not set in stone.
Thank you. With that, we'll be entering the period of Q&A. Do I see any questions? Seeing none, we'll be exiting a period of Q&A. And this will be sent out to University Affairs and DEI. We'll now be moving into Lex 5412, amending the terms of office for ASCSU officials. All right, we have Lex 5412, amending the terms of office for ASCSU officials. This Lex aims to establish consistency in the start and end dates of the terms of ASCSU officials.
If you don't know by now, you definitely know by now. I spent way too much time looking at the Constitution this summer. I noticed that we have a lot of positions that don't have specified times of when that term in office begins and ends. Some of them do, like senators, I believe, is when you get sworn in to the day that the next Senate is seated. President and VP, I think, have some. Chief Justice definitely has one. that's kind of besides the point, but the idea is adding a specified time in office to all of the positions and making that somewhat consistent. Also, if you know of any positions that I may have missed, please let me know and we can add those.
Thank you. With that, we'll be entering a period of Q&A by first raised placard. Do I see any questions? Seeing none, we'll be exiting a period of Q&A.
There's a question online.
Oh,
Sorry.
my bad.
It's okay. I'm used to being forgotten. So when you say having specific start and end times, are you talking about like you are a senator from this time to this time? Or are you saying like you are a senator from this time to this time and you need to seek reelection? Like I'm kind of confused on what you mean.
Yeah, so none of that is being amended because that's in the Constitution now. Mostly it's positions like legislative cabinet, the Speaker of the Senate, which is not actually mentioned of when that begins and ends. Positions in executive cabinet that don't have mentions of when that begins and ends, and adding that to have that consistency element. So it's not changing anything with senators and how those positions function, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. And then second question, will you be working with the judicial branch and the executive branch to make sure everyone's on the same page?
Yes, I have sent this to, I believe, both judicial and executive. And I've gotten some input and I would definitely welcome them to come to committees as well to have those discussions.
Awesome, thank you. I yield.
Any other questions? Any other Teams/Zoom questions?
I'm so sorry, Senator Sandoval.
Seeing none, we're exiting a period of Q&A. And once again, this will be sent out to
Yes.
Internal Affairs. We'll now be moving into Lex 5413, amending the method of appointing LSAT members.
This is my final piece of legislation. We made it.
Do this like. Okay, Lex 5413, amending the appoint. Okay, do over. Lex 5413, amending the method of appointing LSAT members. This Lex aims to amend the method of appointing voting members of the Legislative Strategy Advisory Board as outlined in the Constitution for increased consistency.
So LSAP is the Legislative Strategic Advisory Board. That is a committee made up of some folks in the Senate and some folks in the executive, as well as some people just at large chosen to represent CSU as a whole and not the sections of ASCSU. And what they do is they follow and advocate positions on legislation at state and local levels that would be beneficial to students of CSU. We kind of hit this issue at the end of last year with how somebody is supposed to be appointed out of the Senate, because that has typically been the Speaker of the Senate nominates somebody to that position and then they get voted on by the Senate, just like how the president nominates folks in executive and then they get voted on by the Senate. And it doesn't exactly specify that, but that's just the way that has been. So that's kind of cementing that idea into the Constitution. That is something that executive is fine with. I know that none of you all have seen it, but LSAB Lex that was supposed to be out in the email has the same edit to that. So that's kind of what that is. Folks in executive see him on board with the decision, and so that's all I have.
Thank you. This is the last Q&A, so I want to see smiles. We're going to be entering through the Q&A by first raise placard. Seeing none, we'll be exiting a period of Q&A, and this will be going to University Affairs and Internal Affairs.
I move to table the next two pieces of legislation in new business until next week to follow ASCSU's accessibility guidelines.
Jerry, take it off.
So I'm not allowed to.
Oh, okay, yeah,
It's not my legislation, so that's a motion I'm making to put that to a vote of the Senate.
Point of information, you have information. What are the next two bills?
That is the LSAB Lex, and it's showing representation for all. One of them was written by the Director of Governmental Affairs dealing with LSAB. And the second one was a Lex written by Chair of Lex dealing with, I don't actually know off the top of my head, but it's legislation that was supposed to be sent out in a weekly email, but it was not, so it doesn't follow the accessibility guidelines that we have, which means that it is not allowed to be seen by the Senate. And I move to do that with unanimous consent.
As these are pieces of your legislation, you're chairing, correct? So I can.
Oh.
Yeah, we're transitioning back to you.
Okay. Okay. You have. And somebody else will need to make that motion.
I make that motion.
I motion. Oh.
That motion was made.
Does that motion have a second?
Second.
Okay. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, those two pieces of legislation will be tabled. Moving now to committee reports, beginning with internal affairs.
What's up, everyone? Yeah, Monday 3 to 4. Please come. We have a lot of legislation to look at. However, if you aren't interested in holding up student government, not going would be a great way to do that. But I do not encourage that. So please come. It'll be fun. I have a fun icebreaker question that I don't remember. But yeah, Monday 3 to 4. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Budgetary, we do not have. University.
Please come to committee. I may have Capri Suns that may be sitting in the APAC office at the moment. May they migrate their way down here, quite possibly. Thursdays, 12 to 1. Be there, or I'll have to sit alone again.
And DEI. We don't have. Okay. Moving now to.
No, not anymore. Okay, just kidding.
Okay. Still don't have. Moving on now to caucus reforms, Women's and Social Justice Caucus. Don't have. We don't have an accessibility caucus yet. Housing caucus. Also gone. Students of the Oval Caucus. Also gone. Okay.
Point of personal privilege, can somebody write down all of the times of the caucuses and
Yes,
committees
so
and then pin it on Teams if there's a way to pin something or just make it consistent
yes,
all
so
the time?
we have that now, and that is something, I guess we can show it now if you want
That
to.
would be a good deal.
That was something that I was going to send out in the weekly email next week, and so that then we can show that and send it without wording that in full. But we do have that. That's going to be sent out.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have that?
Yep, hold up.
Point of information, will that also be added to the ASCSU website on the Senate page or?
Once we have committee and caucus times fully situated, yes.
still waiting on some of those times, so, yeah.
Point of personal privilege for the committees that do have it already, can you just put it on the team's like chat thing so that I can write it in my calendar? Or just DM me, text me, whatever, talk to me afterwards, whatever works.
Cool. Do you have to leave that in full since it wasn't sent out?
All right, we have Internal Affairs Committee meeting Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. We have University Affairs Committee Thursdays 12 to 1. DEI Affairs Committee Tuesdays 1 to 2. Housing Caucus Fridays from 9 to 10. And all the other ones do not have a determined time or chair, either time or chair situation.
We will now move into ending roll call.
I'd like to make a brief statement. I know that we've been here forever. But I do want to talk a little bit about ending roll call and the norm I kind of want to set for this year. With the amendment we made, bylaws? Hours? I would suggest that we possibly, not necessarily in this case, but as we go into this year, move away from using beginning roll call as ending roll call as a means of accountability so I can count those extra hours. Otherwise, no one's gonna really have those extra hours on a, like, I don't know, it would just keep accountability, be good, I'd really appreciate it. While I'm also here, I'd like to talk about Q&A. Obviously, this meeting is once again an anomaly, but let's not move past Q&A. Let's use Q&A as a tool. Thank you so much. Love you all.
And with that, moving into ending roll call. Yes.
All right, Speaker Taylor.
Present.
Speaker Pro Tempore Reese. Present. Parliamentarian Camberg. Present. Officer Kelly. Chair Lutz.
Here.
Chair Miller.
Present.
Chair Myers. Is Chair Myers still on Teams?
Not anymore.
Okay. Chair Davis. Senator Bucknor. Senator Luna.
Present.
Senator Bogard.
Correct.
Senator Shao.
Present.
Senator Doubtfire.
Present.
Senator Frisky. Senator Monalti.
Present.
Senator Yankowski. Here. Associate Senator Young. Senator Pickerel.
Here.
Senator Laura Pardo.
Here.
Associate Senator Hernandez. Senator Salazar.
Here.
Senator Jocelyn Rivera.
Present.
Senator Evelyn Rivera.
Present.
Senator Sandoval.
Present.
Senator Johnson. Here. Associate Senator Facey. Senator Isaacs. And Senator Gunsell.
Thank you all. Meeting adjourned, and I'll see you next Wednesday.
If you're new, I'm making eye contact with you. If you could come to the front real quick, I would really appreciate it. Please make sure to leave your placards with us. Also, I noticed some people going home with them not too long ago. We keep losing placards and we keep having to print them out and laminate them, so this is just a way to keep them secure. Thank you.
Since before we had the need for
And if you need a placard, please come talk to me, or if you need it to be added to the attendance.
Still to be situated. Okay, I just realized that I'll talk with Claire and I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, first.